lovelies, welcome back to my channel. I'm gonna do something a little different today. I've got my blankets and my coffee. It was iced, but it looks like the ice have basically melted by the time I got to sit down. And I hope you share your Saturday morning with me. So this series will be called Saturdays with Chel. My name's Michelle, but I go by Chel. I'm on my bed, and we're just going to do a little nail art. Let me show you my coffee cup here. I'm going to try to do this without spilling. Put it to the very rim here. Okay, so this is my polyjuice potion. And it's, it's like a little cauldron. It's got like little feet on the bottom. I love it. My husband got it for me for Christmas last year, and I use it every day now. Well, not every day. I drink Red Bull most of the time. But I thought it'd be more fun to drink coffee today with you guys instead of Red Bull, so cheers. Okay, so I'm going to do a little nail art for you guys. I had said that I was going to show you how to use the colored bling that I have in my giveaway. So I'm going to do just that. We are going to just do one little tip. So what I'm going to be using for the color today, I have a new set by Beetles. It is their Merry Christmas set. It's one of their holiday sets, and I have not even swatched it yet. So let's do that, because I need to know what colors I'm going to be using. So let me just go through and swatch these real quick. Ooh, this one's like a holographic silver, super pretty. And then we've got a gold or a champagne. Let's see. Oh, it's so pretty, so pretty. The next one we've got is a red. Ooh, that's a beautiful red. This is like a clear-based red, so it's got that kind of translucent jelly effect. I love that. Okay, I'm not going to do these ones in my traditional way where I do one coat on all of it and then a second coat on the bottom, because I just want to get through these quick so you can decide what colors I'm going to use. Okay, the next one's like a red glitter. Oh. That's beautiful. Next one is a green glitter. Okay, let's see how this one works. It's basically like the glitters match the solid colors. Oh my goodness. That is so pretty. Can you guys see how beautiful that is? And look at the red. Look at the red. Okay, so let me get those cured. And while I'm doing that, we will put a base coat on our tip. How do you guys, okay, this is like a new light that I've never used before. How do you guys get these feet pop out when you've got long nails like this? Oh my gosh, how do I do this? How does this work? Okay, I'm gonna need a tool. Let me get my little polygel brush. Okay, pop that in there. There we go. That was ridiculous. Oh my goodness. I didn't want to risk damaging my nails by using my nails as a tool. Don't use your nails as tools, guys. Okay. Moving right along, let's get a coat of white on this tip. So I'm just going to coat this tip with my white polish by Beetles. All the products, again, that I'll be using today are by Beetles, and they will, of course, be in the description box down below. Please be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on a video. And if you like the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up to let me know. I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. Mine was wonderful. I cooked everything, as I always do, and it was a good dinner. Lots of fun, lots of family. It was a good time. I hope you guys had a great day too. Taking another sip of my coffee. And then I'm just going to wipe off the tacky layer. And And then I'm going to use this champagne color, the glitter, as my background for my little bauble. So I think in the UK they call them baubles, but we call them ornaments here in the US. But ever since I heard them called a bauble, I thought that was so freaking cute. So I started calling them that after that because I loved it. So basically I'm just going to swirl this into a circle, and if you get any outside of the edges or the shape that you want, then just clean it up with a brush, you'll be fine. And I'm just going to use some clear Beetles Polygel to pat over the surface. This polygel is super, super soft and really easy to work with. I like it a lot. It's not super glass clear though, so I would not use it for like capping products, but it works great in this situation because it's just something sticky to set my rhinestones into. So I'm just going to choose an assortment of rhinestones and put them on the little circle bauble here. And you don't want to make them super uniform, you want them to be kind of sporadic. But I am going to push this yellow one into the center just because I like it better there. Leaving it all set, it would have been cute too, but I don't know. I'm a little OCD, I guess. I like things to be symmetrical, even though this one really shouldn't be. But I just made sure that the smaller gems around the edges were more sporadic and not like perfectly symmetrical circle around the big gem. So once I get those pressed on, I will cap them, but while they're curing, I just want to show you the reds I'm going to be using when I create my bow. And then once I have cured that polygel for 60 seconds, I'm just going to use that same champagne color I used for the background to fill in the gaps because the clear polygel did kind of cloudy it a bit. So I just covered it with some more gel polish and we're good to go. And then I'm going to go around the edges just to create a better shape, and then I'll clean it up with a brush to perfect it even more. So while I'm doing that, I did want to also tell you guys this idea for this Saturdays with Chel series did not come from me. It came from one of my good friends, and she is here on YouTube and on Instagram as Nail Funny Show. I will put her channel up in the iCards and link her down below as well. You guys need to go check her out. She is hilarious and I love her dearly. She has a million amazing ideas. So she's a lot of fun to work with. But she came up with this idea for the Saturdays because I said I wanted to do simple Saturday videos. And she said, what about drinking coffee? And, you know, like doing it on your couch. I'm like, well, let's do it on the bed. So I just kind of elaborated from there, but the base idea was all hers, so I just wanted to thank her for that. So I put my reds out on my palette, and then I realized I hadn't capped my bauble yet. So I'm just using some top coat to do this because, like I said, the polygel was not as clear. So I just used some top coat, and I'm applying a layer over the whole thing, then I cure it, but it's still too flat, so I add a second layer. And after I add the second layer, I do tip it upside down just to bring it to the center. And then I cured it again, and it still was not as round as I wanted it to be, so I added a third layer. After the third layer, it was finally the shape and roundness that I wanted it to be, so I was good to go. I did also want to ask you guys, let me know, I'm going to put a poll in the iCards. I need to know, would you guys want me to premiere these on Saturday mornings so that I can be in the chat with you and we can watch them together and kind of just like chit chat? You guys can ask me any questions you might have. That's the dome shape I was talking about, so that perfectly domed edge. So, and then I'm just using a really old file just to clean up the edges. You don't want anything that's like brand new because it'll take off too much product or it'll dig into your background gel, like the white polish that I have down. So I just took a really old dull file and just perfected that shape. Okay, so on top of the poll for the premiere Saturdays, I would like to know what time is best for you guys for me to upload these. Do you want 8, 9, 10, or 11? Again, it'll be pulled up in the iCard above. Just let me know when's the best for you guys, and whatever the time is that gets the most response, that will be the time that I upload. Okay, so moving on to the next step. Now that that has all been filed into shape, I'm going to start creating the bow. Now, this might be a little daunting. It might look a little scary. It's really, really not, and I'm going to walk you through it the best that I can. So basically, get a picture of a bow and look at the basic shapes. So what you've got for a bow is basically 2 triangles that have been kind of rounded off a little bit, a ball in the middle, and a kind of, strip that goes down the sides. So that's what we're going to create. Now, when I first start this, it's going to look pretty bad. Okay, it's going to be a lot. It's going to not look great. So just bear with me. It will get there. I promise. I know what the finished result is, and it will get there. So just follow along. Now, when you're doing detailed work like this, breathe out when you are going in for these really detailed lines if you're shaky. So because I was drinking coffee for this, which was kind of stupid, my hands were really shaky. So as I create these little lines, I just set my brush down and then I breathe out and pull my brush along, and it really, really helps steady yourself. You always also want to have a little finger resting. If you notice, I've got my pinky or my ring finger always resting on my other fingers to create some balance. And then every few lines, every few strokes, I go in and flash cure it for 3 to 5 seconds so that it doesn't move around. So once I've gotten just the over base shapes that I wanted, the way that I want them to be, I'm gonna go down and create the little streamer edges. So I'm just creating a kind of wavy line and then bulking it up and bringing that into 2 little points. So it's really, really simple, guys. If you just take it one step at a time, follow this video along as you do it if you need to. Take it real slow, play it in half speed, whatever you need to do. Ask me a million questions. I will answer all of them. DM me. I always respond to my DMs on Instagram. So hit me up, guys. I'm here to help, and I love to help. I love to teach, so I'm happy to do it. So what I was showing here is that I'm using this color first. They look the same, but they're not, because this one is more translucent. The other one is more opaque. So I'm going in with this translucent one first. Basically, I'm going to start creating the shadows. So for this part, we're wanting to create some dimension so that it looks like you've got the front, which is looping around to the back, so you get that bow shape. So you basically need to create a sideways teardrop towards the top of the bow shape you've already laid down. And when you do that, you want to leave a small edge along the back of that teardrop so that you've got a defined edge on back. If you create that teardrop right up against that top edge, it's not going to look like a folded over three-dimensional bow. It's going to look like you've got, I don't know, just like a shadow. It's not going to look right. So just make sure you leave a little bit of your base color along that back edge and you'll be good to go. And then around the middle of my bow, I am going to start bringing that same shadow and just kind of pulling it around the middle to create that ball shape. So I just start with a line and then I kind of feather it out. Then keep in mind, I am curing as I go if I feel necessary. So once I got the top of the bow shaded, I cured. Now I'm going to do the little streamers. So I'm just creating some little shadows along the edges and along anywhere that it looks like would have some like folding or creasing or anything like that. And then I'm going to add some right along where the bow top sits above the streamer head. Or excuse me, where the bow head sits above the top of the streamer. So the streamers kind of, I'm calling them streamers, but I don't really know what else to call them. It's still part of the bow, but it's basically the strip edges that come down, you know? But the bulkhead of the bow would create a shadow on those, so just make sure that you add that shadow there. And then I ended up bumping the bottom of this one, so I just go back in with my original base color and I fill it in so that it looks like it's going off the side of the nail. Easy peasy. Okay, so now I'm going in with my other color, the one that I said is more opaque, and I'm just adding a little bit more dimension. I'm adding some crease lines, because if you, again, look at a picture of a bow, you definitely want to use a reference picture. But if you look at a picture of a bow, you've got some crease lines, you've got some darkness along the edges, so you don't want to trace or outline the edges of the bow. That's not going to look realistic, but you do want to add some dark edges. And then I'm just going with that same second shade, the more opaque shade, and kind of following a little bit on top of the areas I've already done. You don't want to cover everything up, but you do want to add little bits here and there. Now I wanted it to be even darker, so I'm adding in some black in with that opaque, the more opaque burgundy. And I'm just adding that until I think it's dark enough. And then I'm going to load my brush up nicely. And I go in with it and I realize it's not dark enough, so I'm just going to pick up the rest of the black and add it in. When you're using black or white to darken or lighten a shade, you want to work in small amounts because it's very, very easy to overwhelm. So you can always add more, it's very hard to take it away. So just work in small amounts. So for this one, with this darkened color, the first line I made was along the front of that teardrop shadow, because that gives a defined edge. And then here I was just showing you I had like a bead on my brush, so you don't want that. You want your brush to be evenly coated. So I got that off and loaded my brush properly. And now I'm just going and creating crease lines, and again creating that defined shade, or excuse me, defined shadow along the front of the pocket teardrop shadow and along the edges of the bow, creating those little creases, bringing out the crease shadows from the middle ball, just adding in detail everywhere that it is needed. And when you're doing any kind of hand-drawn art, guys, it's important to have a reference picture, because it'll help so much to see what things really look like and where shadows and highlights should be placed. If you place them improperly, it will really, really mess up the overall look of the object you're trying to draw, and it can make it a lot harder to tell what it's supposed to be. But if you get those shadows correct, just the placement of them, it's hard to mess up. So if you need 2 or 3 reference pictures, perfect. Do what you got to do. So I cured all of that, and now I'm just adding some red striping tape to be my little string that would connect up to the tree branch, because this is like a, an ornament that would hang from a tree. So I'm just using that, and now I'm just going to take some white and add in a few highlights. So again, look at a reference photo, but the highlights should be on the highest points of the bow. You don't want to go overboard. These are going to be very few. So you just add in the highlights on the very top edges. So I made sure to add the highlights along both edges of the front and back of the main bow shape, a little bit on the little ball, and a couple highlights on the little streamer bits. Then I'm just going on with some top coat and sealing in my design. Of course, I did cure the highlights before moving on with the top coat. That would really suck to put the top coat on and then have it smudge the highlights. That would suck. Luckily, I was curing as I went along, so if that did happen, just wipe it off and fix those highlights again. And then I'm just using a very, very thin amount to cover my bauble, because when I did the filing, it did kind of dull the edges, so I just went over it with a little bit more. And there it is. Look how pretty. I'm so excited. I'd never done a nail like this before, so I was so happy with how this came out. But let me know what you guys think. Look at that little 3D bobble effect. Like, oh, this is such a fun look, guys. But let me know what you think down below. Of course, if you have any questions, suggestions, or requests for different sets, let me know down below. I love to hear from you. Be sure to hit subscribe and the notification bell so you never miss out on a video. And I'll see you guys all next time. Bye!